welcome back to the program. It's still the conversation here on Lagos Television. And like you saw just before we came on air, today we want to take a look at tips for better sleep. But of course, across the world, from the 18th to 24th of May every year, the Global Lifestyle Medicine Week is commemorated. And the theme for this year is Beat Stress with Dreams. Very, very loaded. Beat stress with dreams. I don't know if Ajibola was able to beat any stress last night or the day before, since he didn't even sleep, so he could not have dreamt. And so how can we begin to ensure that we maintain lifestyles that are able to help us find better sleep? I know that insomnia is also a condition that a lot of people deal with. Some do not even know that they're dealing with that particular is this an ailment now? So that I will not go and say what's a condition. And so because we have a doctor in the house today who will help us understand better some of these issues that have to do with lifestyle. Of course, lifestyle medicine. The last time she was here, she did tell us that it's pretty new here in Nigeria. It is one aspect of medicine that, you know, a lot of people are getting open to and knowing more about what exactly this is. But today she's going to help us understand how to beat stress with dreams and, of course, how to sleep better. If you do not sleep, you cannot dream. So until you have a good sleep before you can dream. And what kind of dreaming are you dreaming? Is it dream that somebody is beating you? Or somebody is bringing money? Thank you so much, Dr. Oore Makinde, for being here on the program today. And happy celebration. Is it right to say that? Because, yes, of course, this is your week, and so you're commemorating here. But, of course, let's start this way. A lot of people, when you say lifestyle medicine, they're wondering, what exactly is this all about, or what aspect of medicine is this? So can you quickly take us again what lifestyle medicine is all about?
All right. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here this morning. So when we're talking about lifestyle medicine, it's a relatively new subspecialty. Okay. And it looks at the evidence-based ways or interventions that help to either prevent, treat, or sometimes reverse chronic medical conditions. And those chronic medical conditions are very prevalent in this part of the world. Can
you please mention some?
So we have hypertension, we have type 2 diabetes, we have high cholesterol levels, overweight, obesity, osteoarthritis, even some cancers. Wow. Are lifestyle related. So these interventions are what are encapsulated in that acronym, DREAMS.
Ah, okay.
Will you be right to say that from your observation these days, most Nigerians are very conscious of their lifestyle now?
Well, some people are, but we still need to get the message to a greater number of people, because some people are making some changes that are not evidence-based. So we talk about what has been studied and what is in science that we know is going to work and bring about the outcomes that we want.
Okay, so a follow-up to what Jibola asked about will be, if you look at the percentage of people who are making intentional effort at, you know, staying healthy, and the fact that sometimes some of those things are now define age, sex, barriers, and then affecting people. And so the kind of lifestyle that we live, how important is it to also dictate the kind of longevity that we might also experience as we age?
Yes, so we have quite a number of studies, randomized control trials and longitudinal studies that's looking at people over a certain period of time, maybe a space of 20 years, to see what was the lifestyle of this individual, why did this person live longer. We actually have parts of the world that are referred to as the blue zones, where people have been discovered to live the longest. So studies are going on in those places to look at what exactly do they eat, how do they relate to people, what jobs do they do, what makes the difference. Okay. And they actually discover that the characteristics that they have, they are embodied in that acronym DREAMS.
Is there any African country in the blue zone?
Well, not for now.
Oh.
So I believe that we need to do some more research.
Okay, you want to mention some of those countries and the
Maybe
Yes.
topmost.
Yes, so we have a place called Ikaria in Greece.
Wow.
Yes, we have, there's this Nomalinda University, that area called Nomalinda. It's also...
Which country is that?
I'm trying to remember right now.
China is not there. Korea is not there.
No.
Asian countries are another.
Okay.
So Greece, okay.
Let's go to our topic of discussion for today now. What's the link between quality of lifestyle and the quality of sleep that we get daily?
Yes, very important question and very key to this discussion today. So sleep is associated with how well our brains function, and is also associated with metabolism and our immunity. So when there is a breakdown in immunity, hormonal balance, we are more predisposed to these chronic ailments I talked about. So studies have shown that people that sleep 5 hours or less consistently every night, they are more likely to develop overweight and obesity, and they are also likely to develop dementia later on in life. So all those things, they affect the quality of life.
Right.
Yes, and then aside from that, there is a protective effect that sleep has on the blood pressure. So if you lose that consistently, you are more predisposed to heart disease.
Okay.
And so people who sleep 5 hours or less have been shown to actually die prematurely compared to people who sleep the recommended number of hours, which WHO has said to be at least 7 to 8 hours
Every day.
every night.
Uninterrupted.
Continuous with a minimum of, a maximum, I should say, of 1 awakening, because you might want to use the bathroom, but by the time you are waking up 2 or 3 times, it's going to interrupt, you know, the flow, and that will affect the quality of your sleep.
So let's look at this word stress. Relatively, a lot of people misuse or do not even understand what stress is all about. So sometimes you just hear things like, oh, I'm stressed up. And so if medically, what is stress?
Right. So medically, stress refers to pressure when you are faced with a task or a situation or circumstance that is beyond what your capacity can cope with.
Okay.
So there are different types of stress. They can be classified in so many ways. We have acute stress, we have chronic stress.
Which one is acute? Which one is chronic?
Yes. So acute means you are exposed to that pressure within a very short period of time, and then you get over it. But chronic means that it's
more or less
almost
every day.
unending, yes. For a prolonged periods of time, you are just like, a job is stressful, and you're in that job for a year.
But
Then you are going
if you do not have an alternative.
So that's why people need to learn how to manage the stress.
Or distress.
Or distress. Because it becomes distress when it's negative. So stress can be positive. That's what we call eustress.
Oh.
So we need a certain amount of stress to actually push us forward, to motivate us, to make you write that exam, go for that interview, work on your promotion, and all of that. Otherwise, we'll be laid back.
Right.
But when it goes beyond your capacity, and many people have not built up their capacity to that extent, where they know how to handle that pressure. Yes.
Okay. Some people have this notion that, okay, when you are stressed, you tend to sleep better. Is it true? That when you get home, or when you
I'm
get
so
to your bed, you'll be
tired. I want to exhaust myself, and so just hit the bed and I'm gone.
Okay, so what happens, you know, all of this is metabolic activity. So we have some hormones that build up within the system when we are very, very active during the day. That chemical is called adenosine. So it builds up within the bloodstream, and you begin to feel tired as the levels build up within the bloodstream. But one way or the other, because we are adults, we can push back the pressure effect from that chemical. Children can't, babies can't. So when it mounts up from their playing, you know, and all of that,
they can sleep
they just
anywhere.
sleep off.
They can sleep anywhere.
Yes, but for we adults, we use different devices. You know, once you're exposed to lights, you're exposed to many other things, then the pressure reduces and then you sleep later.
I've noticed that oftentimes when it's about 9 p.m.
You can't keep your eyes open.
Yes. But somehow I'll refuse.
Yes.
I will not sleep.
Yes.
And once I refuse...
Does that have an effect?
So what happens, the negative effect of that is that at the time you now want to sleep, you might find yourself being very alert.
Yeah.
And that's because at that point in time, the pressure has dropped. We have another hormone that is secreted from the pituitary gland known as melatonin. It peaks around between 12 and 2 a.m., 12 midnight and 2 a.m. So if at that time you are exposed to a lot of bright lights, your melatonin levels will drop and you suddenly discover that you don't feel like sleeping anymore.
Right. So for people who sleep early, there's some people who you hear things like, once it is getting dark, I just can't keep awake. And so they sleep maybe 7, 8, and then they tend to wake up in the middle of the night and can't find that sleep again. So if they've had 7 hours per venture, from 7 or 8 p.m. they slept off till about 3, 4 a.m. they wake, and then they're not able to go back to sleep until they get to the work for the day. Does this have any negative effect on the system, since it is required that at least you have about 7 or 8 hours of barely interrupted sleep?
So that's a very good question, because if you look at it, if an individual goes to bed by 7 a.m.
7 p.m.
7 p.m.
Oh, 7 p.m. rather. So 7 p.m. to about 3 a.m., that's about 7 hours already. So that person would have gone through a number of cycles of sleep.
Okay.
So the person is likely to wake up at that time because he really doesn't need more than that 7 hours.
Okay.
Some people will need up to 8 hours. Some people will need up to 9 hours. Teenagers might even need up to 10 hours.
Right.
But once that person has reached that limit, the likelihood is that he'll wake up, and to go back to sleep at that time will not be too easy. So such a person will be better off taking a nap during the day.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, the quality of sleep that we get, what role does our diet play in it?
Very good. So we talked about dreams. So D is the first letter in that acronym DREAMS. So studies have shown that a predominantly plant-based diet, you know, that is rich in all the macronutrients and micronutrients would help you to sleep better. And in fact, we have studies that show that when you take meals for supper that have fiber and protein, you are more likely to sleep well, sleep better, and have less arousals at night. You are less likely to wake up and say, oh, I want to use the bathroom. But if you take a lot of carbs, a heavy carb meal at night, you might fall asleep. You will fall asleep, but you will wake up.
You will wake up. You wake up to want to drink water.
Either to drink water or use the bathroom.
Or to
So what is the ideal time for us to eat dinner?
Is there an ideal time, really?
So, well, studies show that we should take our dinner about 3 to 4 hours before bedtime.
Depending on your bedtime.
So it now depends on your bedtime. But you know what people do typically is that they get home by 9 o'clock.
And they are eating
They are cooking
10, 11,
10,
and then you're going to sleep almost immediately. Some people sleep when they've eaten. And they'll probably just wake up to go. So let's again talk about, yes, you've talked about diet, which is the D. So the R, the R, what does it stand for?
The R stands for relationships. Relationships. So healthy connections, toxic-free relationships with family, friends, colleagues, at work, and all of that is very important. You can imagine if someone infuriates you at work, or maybe you feel that your boss is not happy with you. You get home at night, you want to sleep, that's all that is going through your brain because you are not just happy.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, that's the boss. But if it is in the house, you are seeing the person that has made you angry. And you're looking at the person and like, hello, what's going on? So it means that it's very important that you make peace and you make things right. Before one of the good books I said, don't sleep over anger. But sometimes it's difficult to.
Yes.
So how intentional should we be when it comes to things like that?
We should be intentional. So that's why it's not too good to decide to take your calls at night. We need to avoid arguments at night. You don't want someone calling you in and telling you bad news or saying something happened in the family house. You have to do this. All of that will make you worked up because of the production of adrenaline and cortisol.
Okay.
And you won't be able to sleep well as a
Our
result.
state of mind matters a lot.
It matters.
Okay, so that's the R.
That's the R.
Then the E?
The E is exercise.
There you go.
So, yes, regular exercise. We recommend at least 30 minutes of moderate intensity exercise on at least 5 days of the week.
Morning or night?
You
Whatever
can
works
space it
for
however
you.
you want.
Whatever works for you.
It.
But we try to tell people, don't do it too close to bedtime, because if you exercise too close to bedtime, it can affect the quality of your sleep. However, studies have shown that when you exercise, in fact, I've experienced that with clients as well, you exercise regularly, you're more likely to sleep
Yeah.
Better.
and enjoy your sleep as well.
The A?
The A is avoid toxic substances.
But there are some people who take substances because they think that they will make them sleep better.
So many of those substances, especially the street drugs, are supposed to actually activate the brain. Even alcohol, it initially would activate, but later depress, the brain. So we actually have discovered that people who are into alcohol, who are into tobacco, they are more likely to have mental health disturbances.
Okay.
They're more likely to have things like schizophrenia, depression, anxiety, and because of that, they now are prone to
So that's
sleep
where
disturbances.
addiction, and then
Yeah.
addiction comes into play when it comes to those who use those substances.
I'm sorry, Abimbola, but I have a friend who will tell you that when he's heavily drunk, he will sleep for hours. Yes.
Yes, but that is not quality sleep. The person is under the influence is not, that is not true sleep.
Okay.
And then people who take alcohol, really, it depends on how much they have taken. We also need to look at all the other effects, all the side effects, how it affects the liver, the kidneys, and all that. But we've discovered that even if you feel sleepy after taking alcohol, you're likely to wake up a number of times because alcohol is a diuretic. So you're more likely to wake up to use a bathroom multiple times.
And that can also affect the quality of sleep that you're getting. The M?
The M stands for mental well-being and stress management. So we also promote stress management techniques. So there's certain things we need to learn. We need to learn time management. We need to learn how to delegate tasks. You can't do it all by yourself.
Sure.
We need to learn how to validate other people, self-validation as well. That actually helps to build that social network that we mentioned before in R. And then many other little things like deep breathing exercises, having a restorative sleep, exercise, all of that comes under stress management techniques, as well as spending time in nature. Yeah.
Under the tree.
Yes.
In the
trees,
garden.
green grass, yes.
In Lagos, you have time for all that.
We have to prioritize. That's why people go to the beach. That's why they go to resorts and go for vacations and all.
Okay,
And vacations.
But
And when you come back, you still face your reality.
there are certain
you can
environments.
create reality in your house. You can have a patch of green in your house.
Okay. There are certain environments that are not sleep friendly. They are so noisy.
True.
And after fulfilling all the conditions that you highlighted earlier, how does one cope to have quality sleep?
So there's always a solution. You can wear an earmuff. Yes, so there are earmuffs or earplugs like you can put in your ear. They even give you in the airplane sometimes.
Right.
We have ear covers as well that will prevent
The rays
all
of the
those
light.
rays of light, from going in there. So those are ways.
So you can actually make all those efforts by yourself. But you must be able to identify that there's a problem before you also seek help. Let's quickly look at the S.
So the S, sleep.
Yeah.
It stands for sleep, restorative sleep. So you need sleep, restorative sleep, to beat stress. Yes, you need that because you're going for an exam, you become more worked up and frustrated. You might not remember what you have read just because you didn't sleep well. And there is a particular phase of your sleep in which short-term memory is converted or consolidated into long-term memory. So you could just be stressed at not remembering what you're supposed to remember, and that's because you didn't have a good night's sleep.
And sometimes when you have early morning flight to catch, you don't sleep well as well.
Of course.
Because your mind will be there.
When you have targets generally,
yeah.
or you have, and you're coming to work, or you need to beat Lagos traffic, your mind is just there, and all of that. So, so all of this that we've talked about today, how does it affect children? Because there are a lot of children also who have issues sleeping. And so you wonder, why is this child not getting enough sleep? Or why is this child, just not taking the long hours of sleep? So how many hours is required for children, toddlers, adolescents, and then we break it down?
Yes. So they require more hours of sleep than we adults. Typically, toddlers would require up to about 12 hours of sleep, and then adolescents will require up to about 10 hours of sleep.
Okay.
Babies who are less than 1 year will typically sleep up to, sometimes they could sleep up to 13 hours.
Wow.
Yes.
At night?
At night. Of course, we know that neonates can sleep the whole day. They just
Those
wake up
ones
to eat.
Yes. they are not yet aware of the fact that they're on Earth.
Yes.
Okay,
and you discover that they become very cranky when they have not slept.
Yes.
And they can't tell you what the problem is because they're not feeling okay. But children, especially toddlers and younger adolescents, they take after what their parents do.
True.
So if you're in the house and everybody's active, everyone is watching TV, of course, over time, their bodies will just kind of align to
that routine.
So
yes. So it means
what do you call this? There's a particular member of our staff here. He will sleep during the day, but he doesn't sleep at night.
So that's like a circadian rhythm disorder.
It's a disorder.
Yes, sleeping during the day and not being able to sleep at night. Of course, because we have what we call a biological clock inside of us. It's the circadian rhythm. So once there's a problem with that rhythm, your body will push back activity because of what it's exposed to. For example, now, if you go on a night shift, you have to be awake, a lot of adrenaline going through your system, cortisol, you have to be awake on the job. Of course, you are pushing back your clock.
Okay.
So that you fall asleep later on during the day. So, but if you sleep during the day for that number of hours, even if it's just 4 or 5 hours, it's going to be difficult for your body to get back to the former rhythm.
Is this correctable?
Yes, it is.
But you must first identify that there's a problem.
Yes.
Sajibola, take that person to seek help.
Yes.
It's very important.
Because even when he's standing, he's sleeping.
So, yes, this is an awareness for people to know that there are issues. I talked about insomnia earlier. Some people do not even understand that they have insomnia or are dealing with issues, sleep-related issues. And so, are there signs that people should look out for when they're not sleeping or when they're not having sound sleep? And if there are issues, who best should they approach?
Yes. So some people don't realize that they're having sleeping issues, but the flags that would tell them that there might be a problem is if they're having, this persistent headache. Some people complain of palpitations. Some people complain of body heat. The bodies are just feeling so hot because it's a metabolic process that's been affected if you don't sleep. For some people, you see bags under their eyes. So you see someone that has bags. You can even point out to the person that, did you sleep well?
Right.
Yes. Loss of memory, being forgetful, little things. You just discover, oh, I can't remember. It might be the sleep that is an issue. Yes.
When we started the program earlier, I was telling my colleagues that, okay, the day before yesterday, I slept like a baby. But last night, I slept, but I did not sleep.
It wasn't a sound sleep.
It wasn't. I slept for hours, but it wasn't sound. I felt it when I woke up. What could be responsible for that? and I exercised last month.
So things like that happen once in a while. Something might have been on your mind before bedtime. Did you have a racing mind before you went to sleep?
Were you thinking of buying expression?
And then another thing is cravings. People tend to crave more when they have not slept, so that might be a warning sign.
For food?
Yes, for foods that are rich in sugar and saturated fat. That's when you discover, I just feel like taking some chocolate, some cake.
Did you have a craving?
No, not at all.
Okay.
So, but it could be far worse than that. High blood pressure, high blood sugar. So when we see clients and they're on medication and their BP is not well controlled, we want to find out, are you sleeping well?
Okay.
Or
Or are
if the
you not
BP is
sleeping properly?
properly?
Right. So before we allow you go this morning, again, let's quickly talk about. So you haven't. Yes. So when you see a regular doctor, do you get then do you get referred, or of course, because we said your aspect of medicine is relatively new, and so a lot of people are not aware that there are specialists they could speak with. And so if you notice that you're having issues with sleeping, or you're not having accurate sleep or sound sleep, who is your first port of call?
Yes, so your general practitioner, your family physician is the first person to see. And then your family physician will assess you, and where they think it's necessary for you to see a lifestyle medicine physician, if there's one available, they'll refer. Sometimes they might refer you to the respiratory physician because they deal with what we call obstructive sleep apnea.
Okay.
Sometimes you might need a referral to the psychiatrist. Because
And that's
it
what
might
people
be-
don't want to hear.
They don't want to hear
They
that.
think that once you've mentioned a psychiatrist, there's something going on somewhere. But then it is something that is also very important that we must begin to embrace. Not all issues that has to do with psychiatry will result into mental health. Right. Okay. But people also, there are people who are also placed permanently on sleeping pills.